Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have a former TV host and an advertising creative director turned training guru, swagger coach, and speaker. She's a reputation for transforming corporate culture, exploding employee engagement, and releasing exponential human potential. There's a mouthful there that I got out. She is a Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and Amazon #1 best-selling author of her amazing book, Swagger, Unleash Everything You Are and Become Everything You Want. Today, we bring her back on Thrive Loud because she and I are going to do a little conversation about swagger and another book called Speak Easy. Thrive Loud listeners, I bring you back Leslie M. Leslie, how are you today?
I'm so good. This is my best fun, is just to be able to spend time with you and talk and just share the love with the people. That makes me incredibly happy.
Well, I'm excited too. One, because Leslie is an absolute ball of energy. She also decided we're going to do this interview before 8 o'clock in the morning. So we are caffeinated. We are up, and man, are you a morning person? Is this?
I never used to be, excuse me, but I kind of am now. I tend to wake up at like 5:30.
Does this mean we're getting older? Like, are we going to be those people that wake up at 4 in the morning, okay.
Yeah, that's what happens with age. Apparently you need less sleep, but I'm not buying it. I'm just more tired.
Whatever you're doing, you're defying age with all of this. So we are approaching the launch of my own book, Speak Easy, and I was so excited because what I wanted to do in this special program is I wanted to connect with authors who have written unbelievable books, who are incredible thought leaders and have great ideas that also connect a lot with the ideas of Speak Easy. This woman has written an amazing book called Swagger, which we're going to put all the links and all the show notes for all the listeners to be able to catch out. First of all, it's been a heck of a year for you with this, right? Let's talk about this because this book got like major fanfare in 2021 and into 2022. Yes?
Yes, it was. I mean, I don't want to say surprised because that's what you hope for in this process. But I remember when I was in the process of launching the book and the pandemic hit, and I thought, oh no, launching a book in a pandemic, why the gods, why? And then I realized that the book was even more relevant during the pandemic than it would have been otherwise. And it just hit this note with people that was so amazing for me. I was so thrilled that it could fill this gap for people because swagger is not about that show-offy, peacocky, arrogant thing. My take is the complete opposite. Swagger is the ability to manifest who you really are and then hold on to it in the face of all that psychological crap that's going to come forward, regardless of situation or environment. And here we were in a moment in time where people had no choice but to show their community who they really were. They had to be honest about their struggles. They had to speak their truth about the challenges they were facing or the needs that they had, and all of that stuff. And people really struggled with it, but they did it. And they realized that they could be who they really were, and they could be perfectly imperfect and messy, human, authentic, real, and that bad things weren't going to happen to them. And that is the core message of this. So the book really supported people in that time. That was so critical.
Aside from adding a ton of yellow and effective pink into my collection of books here, what I will say is I loved the direction you took with Swagger because it was focused so much on inside how you need to be and the way you approach a situation and a confidence that you can draw from it. And to your point, draw it from not the best of what you are, but sometimes the messy of what you are, a real sense of authenticity, because that's the, whenever I think of Swagger, I think of this walk. I don't know why.
Yeah.
There's like the two images I have aside from your book, which now has trumped this, is basically John Travolta walking down in, Saturday Night Fever, like down the street, like this walk of confidence, this coming into a room, coming into a situation. And I think of you every time I think of this Swagger, because I think, I don't think it's a cockiness. I think it's a confidence. And on top of that, I also think it helps you to understand how to draw out your brilliance. Mm-hmm. So this is a question I never got to ask you the first time you were on Thrive Loud. I want to ask it here. Did you always have swagger?
I think as I've defined swagger, yes, I did. I think, swagger is not, as you said, about the outside. It's about the sense of self-belief. That really is at the core of it. And it manifests differently for everyone. There is no one way to show up with swagger. And it really is just a manifestation of who you truly are. And I was very lucky that I was supported in that, my entire life, with my family. So I was not your average kid. I was super precocious. I was hyper energetic. I was, unmanageable, as I was told many, many times. I did not follow rules. I did not believe in the status quo. And so I was challenging as a little human. I was a lot of person. I've always been a lot of person. And my mother in particular always told me to just do my thing and be who I am and trust that it's all going to play out. It wasn't always easy. It's not easy to really speak your truth and to have that kind of swagger, because when you're like that, you're in your place of purpose and passion all the time. The haters gonna come. Haters gonna come. And they're going to try and make you smaller because you make them feel small in comparison. So they're going to try and take you down. And that's part of the challenge. It happens to us to this day. It happens.
Okay. So now I want to do the fast forward button and get to where you are today, because not only have you obviously written an amazing book, but you speak about this book and you're on stage talking to people about swagger, and in your delivery, you're actually interacting and making people kind of bring out their own swagger. Tell me about the joy of what you've seen from those that have either been readers who have benefited from swagger or have benefited from your message when you deliver it.
I swear, I have cried more in this past year than, I had the pleasure of working with people for years and years in Fortune 100 companies and helping to bring out that aspect of them. And there's countless stories in the book about people whose lives have been transformed through their ability to tap into all of their true potential. But one of the motivations for writing the book was I wanted to make it bigger. I wanted to be able to touch more people, not just people that saw me speak or that I were fortunate enough to have their organization pay for training. I wanted to access everybody. And the messages that I have gotten back from readers, I cannot tell you people who have read the book and then left their corporate gigs and started their own, business on the side. This amazing guy started this company. His partner has nonverbal cerebral palsy. And he was so inspired by this that he left that gig and he started a not-for-profit company with this partner of his. I've had people talk about how it's helped them to recover from great grief. Someone talked about losing a child and how the book helped her reconnect with who she was. People have talked about the book inspired them to leave their marriage. People have said, this book inspired me to go after this role within my organization that I really wanted, and I didn't have the courage to do it. But countless stories and across the board, personal and professional. And I just cry. I cry because it is my purpose fulfilled. It is 1,000% what I want to do in this life.
Disclaimer here that swagger is not about wrecking homes. It's about living up and elevating individuals. I'm just kidding.
It hits you wherever you are. That's the beautiful thing, is that if it tells you to step up into your life, but it holds your hand in the process. And so this idea of unleashing who you are, if you recognize that you have been holding back, to your point earlier, things that maybe you never realized were actually superpowers because the world said, no, we don't like that about you. No, make that smaller or hold that back. You realize, well, no, if I step into it, it's only going to amplify my power at the end of the day. So it manifests in a million different ways. Like, I have people who I trained, 5 years ago, and who use the swagger methodology to move up in the ranks in their organization, but they do it. The reason that they're able to rise so successfully is because they are real.
Yeah.
And followers will follow a leader who is real. That's one of the great secrets, that people think to be a great leader, you have to be this shiny, glossy, flawless human. No, because we can't relate to those people. We want to be able to go, oh my God, just like me. They're just like me. And I trust that.
And that description is really just like you. A little bit messy, a little bit, all over the place, running 100 miles an hour. But I think that's an important piece that, for whatever reason, I think for when we have grown up, and I'm saying that because we're around the same age. When we have grown up, that there was a vision of what a leader maybe should look like. And I think that has changed more so than ever, because there is no ideal mold of what a leader should look like, whether it's a gender, a brand, a way that they need to speak, a way they need to communicate, a visual that we have for this. There's an authentic component to what makes great leaders great. And one of the things that I took away from Swagger was that great leaders have swagger.
And they really do. They really do.
Right?
Yeah.
Now I wanted to ask you this, because we're gonna do the merger here. But wait, before I do the merger,
yes,
I don't know if you're allowed to show this. We're recording this via video, but you made yourself a promise that if this book did really well, which it has done well, and kudos to you and all of that, you'd put something on you. Can we flash that here, or no? Can we just talk about it?
Yeah, no, I'll flash it if I can turn my there. Can you see it?
I'm gonna give it to the full camera here. There we go. So
there we go.
There it is.
It's funny because the where I placed it, for me, it's the center of my arm, because I really did it for me. But then I realized when I have to show it to people, I have to like twist my arm in a way that can't be done.
You have to wave like a princess.
Yes,
so listeners who aren't seeing this, if you look at the Swagger, look at the artwork for this particular episode, you'll notice that there is a crown atop of Swagger, because she's the Swagger queen. She has put a Swagger tattoo on her right arm on the inside, which is amazing, by the way. It's badass.
Are you getting Speak Easy somewhere?
You think I should get the Speak Easy bubbles? Like if I did that?
Yeah,
I think that would be pretty cool. Let's see, like, but I would maybe do it on the outside of the arm.
Yeah, you have to do. I mean, whatever speaks to you. That's where you do
I
it.
could do it like speak on one arm and easy on the other, and
or you could just do the kind of the two speech bubbles, and then people say, "What is that?" And you say, "Oh, and it's a conversation starter."
And there we go, and that's what this is all about. And listeners have to understand that what I wanted to do is have a conversation about Speak Easy and Swagger, and that's what I'm going to spin this to right here. You have been delightful, because not only have you read this, listeners will get a chance to see if you haven't seen it on our social posts. She does a very charming review of this book as well. Thank you.
So good. It's so good.
Okay,
it's so good.
So share with listeners what you liked most about it, and how you, as the Swagger queen, connected to this book.
Well, again, we are spun this story about how we have to be so consummate, so slick, so perfect. That's why people are terrified of things like networking or going in to have a difficult conversation with a boss or a peer or a colleague, because we think we have to have it all perfectly laid out and it has to, roll out. It's not. It's a conversation is between two human beings, and it's going to go where it goes. And if you can stay in your place of authenticity and truth and trust your message and have empathy for the other person and try to create connection, it's going to go well. And that is the message that you say over and over again, and how to be fearless in the pursuit of a great conversation, but not worry about a perfect conversation. And my favorite part, and I don't want to, should I ruin it for people? The last chapter of the book.
Go ahead. You can share.
Okay, so can I say what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what Lou does is he creates, like, when you read a mixology book, like a cocktail book, and it has a dash of this, an ounce of that, a little thing of this, of bitters and whatever. He creates cocktail recipes for conversations. And it is just genius, because you really could follow those cocktails. I mean, it sounds like that it's kind of a little like just fun and fluffy, but it's not. It's brilliant. And you could almost use it as a cheat sheet. It's like, okay, I'm going into a conversation at a networking event. All right, I need to think about these elements: a dash of confidence, an ounce of preparation, a thing or whatever. I'm not doing it justice. It's way better than that.
I'll help and thank you for that. But here's what we did. What I did was I went into those situations with other people and asked them what they were feeling at that moment. And I started writing down some common words and things that came up, like, okay, you need to go over and talk to that person. What's going on? What do you think you need? Mm-hmm. And literally, like, dude, that the word gumption came out one time. That takes a lot of gumption for me to go over there to come to somebody famous or someone, like at an event. And I started jotting down these words and saying, okay, what are the things? So when we pieced them together, it was pretty real. It wasn't just like, oh, a little bit of this. And then but the biggest lesson that I learned in putting together the special bar cart menu was that these problem conversation, or what I called them conversational flights, which is where the whole idea came
Yeah.
about from, was that these were the most common conversations that people had trouble with in some form or fashion. And I had trouble getting it into the book in a way that it would pop. And the only way that it would pop would be to do it in the special section. And that was actually something that me and the editor had worked out. But it was, and that's what the whole thing. But I literally went to those situations and said, what are you feeling? What do you have right now? What's the words that come to your mind? Because I needed other people's reaction, not just mine, as to what that is. Because I'll be honest, I have no problem walking up to any single
Yeah,
person.
you know what? That's the thing
Yeah.
that's so incredible, is that people like you and I, it's innate. We love to go and talk to people. It's easy. It's kind of the foundation of who we are and what we do. And we often forget, and you don't, because it's the space that you're in, that most people, I would say the average bear, is completely overwhelmed and intimidated and trapped inside, especially the introverts, of the world, and people who are a little bit more shy or more reticent, or who weren't raised to, to speak up. And there's a million reasons why you end up the way that you end up. But how limited we become when we can't, express what we want or need or desire to express it's hell. It's hell to be trapped inside yourself and not be able to have those beautiful connections, because, to your point, and as we both know, it's a two-way pipe, right? Yeah. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. And so you have to know how to open that pipe to create that beautiful connection and that flow of information and whatever it is that you're there to do. And the book really, really helps with that. And it's such a broad, simple concept, but so complex, and you break it down so beautifully. So I'm a big fan of hand holding. I call them, self-help or personal development books. I don't like the rah books. You can do it. You can do it. Go. Like, no, that's almost cruel. It's like shaking up the bottle of, soda pop and then keeping your thumb on the top until the bubbles go flat. It's like, no, you got to help people to activate, to explode, to whatever. And hold their hands as they, try, fail, get back up, try it again, improve, recognize the improvement. That's one of the most powerful things about your book.
And what I loved, so this is important, and I wanted to have this forum here on Thrive Loud to share this with these amazing authors like Leslie, because their books inspired me a lot, and a lot of it, just as Leslie described, that the two of us are natural extroverts when we walk into open parties, to talk to people, have any conversation, because we don't think about the steps that we do, because we do them so often. We do all the preparedness. We do all of the things that make us have swagger. We do all of the things that make us speak easy. And that naturally is there. So lessons from swagger, lessons from other great leaders like yourself have all been interjected into me throughout the way I think about how to share a message. Mm-hmm. And this platform that you and I are doing right now, having a conversation, is where all great connections happen. Because, by the way, listeners need to know this. Leslie and I have never met in person, touch to touch. Now, a lot of it had to do with because of COVID and whatever, but we've probably spoken virtually or on the phone, or literally driving from South Florida to Orlando for 2 hours on the phone, just talking about shop, about business, about the world that we're in. And we've grown an incredible connection. Just imagine when we get to hang out and see one another.
I know, right?
A hug is coming.
I know.
A hug is coming.
I can't wait. But I think that to your point is that where is the core of that power? It's the conversation and the connection. It happens in ways that we don't even imagine. I mean, think about how much joy can be brought to your day by having a great chitty chat with a customer service representative from somewhere. Just making this little connection and making some shtick and talking back and forth and laughing and whatever. It's so soul filling. It is like our entire day can be made up of these little tiny connections, little things that end up filling us up, as opposed to when we don't talk to anyone at all. we get empty after a while. And even introverts, there's a fallacy about the fact that introverts, can't have great conversations. They can't be bolder in their choices when they're making connections and all that stuff. It's not true. It is not true. The only difference between an extrovert and an introvert is what's going to happen after. The introvert's going to need to go have a little lie down after a networking event, whereas an extrovert is going to want to go out and party because they're so juiced and so jacked. And the introvert is going to have to just go quietly into like a closet somewhere and just go, or just get into their car and have a nap, which they should prepare for, knowing that. Usually, introverts are the reason that they're so terrified of entering into these milieu where they have to have the conversation is they recognize how drained they're going to be after. So plan for it. Yeah. Know that after, if you're going to have a hard conversation with someone who works for you or someone who you work for or something, don't do it before a big meeting that you have to do. You're going to feel like crap. Make sure that you have time to go and recover and breathe a little bit and process, because introverts tend to process a little more slowly than the extroverts and so on and so forth. But it does not dictate the quality of that conversation. So you gotta have that self-belief to know that you can kick ass just like an extrovert.
I love it. What we're going to do to put a bow on this episode is this is going to be a very swagger focused conversation here. And what I'm going to do here is I want to ask you certain things about what swagger has done to you and what has helped change your world because of this amazing book that you have. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, to start off, the biggest gift that writing swagger has given you, your business, your family, whatever, the biggest gift that you received from writing it.
I think I always wondered whether I had a book in me, and I'm a writer. So I think being a writer when you write a book is even more terrifying because the pressure you put on yourself is immense. Whereas a lot of business leaders who are not, or thought leaders who are not writers go, well, I'm not really a writer, so I have no expectations. No, my expectations were super high. And the fact that I got it and I got it out of me, it's like a bucket list.
Yeah.
I tick the list. So I have a sense of purpose fulfilled, which is it's an incredible gift to give to myself.
Biggest surprise that swagger has given you?
Well, I think in writing it, the incredible generosity of spirit of the people who agreed to be interviewed for the book, people that I had worked with over the years. And I was able to contact people who I worked with like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I said, hey, it's me. They're like, hey, because when I train people, you become like my child. I love you forever. And I continue these connections. And I would say, hey, I would really love to tell this story about this particular thing because it had such an impact on me. Would you be willing? And everybody said yes, everybody. And I gave everybody the option to be anonymous as well. Do you want me to use your name or not? And everybody said yes. I was blown away by that.
I want to ask you the thing about swagger that was, how do I say this nicely? The thing that you thought you would get out of writing swagger, but were shocked that you didn't get out of it.
I don't know if there was that much. Like I think it really did what it was supposed to do. I did think that perhaps it would magically sort of, promote itself.
Right.
Because you're led to believe that.
Yeah.
I write a book and then I magically release it into the world and everybody goes running screaming to their local bookstore or their Amazon and goes, I must have this book. Hell to the no. It is marketing a book, launching a book is harder than writing a book. This is what I've learned. That's the shocking truth. So be prepared, people. If you're going to write a book, understand that when they say it's a marathon, writing the book is like the first 12 miles. And then when you're incredibly tired, that's when you have to do the really hard part. So.
That's true. As you're now listening to one of the promotions of my book, and that's how I'll segue this off. There's a lot of effort that has to go through promoting your book.
Oh yeah.
What you liked most about Speak Easy?
I loved the fact that you did not promote the idea of persona and being slick and being perfect. And I think an old school book about conversations would have done that. And I think this is a very new school methodology that reminds you that the most powerful asset that you have in creating meaningful conversations is your ability to connect as a human. And that everything else is it's just a little flavor on top. It's whatever. So you peel back all the bullshit and help people to step into their realness, their authenticity. And I have all the time in the world for that, all day long. So I was like, whoop, whoop, as I was reading page after page. I was like, yes, Lou, yes, speak it. Yes, yes.
Listeners need to know I love Leslie M. Okay, so to wrap this up, let's give a little plug section for Swagger and anything else that's coming in. We're recording this in the summer. This is launching in September as we enter the back half of the year. What's on the plate for Leslie, and where can everybody find you? We'll put it in the show notes, but they might need a reminder if they're driving somewhere or doing something silly.
Well, you can learn everything about who I am and what I do at leslieem.com. That's LESLIEEHM.com. I'm aside from summertime when I'm like, I like to have my hair in a ponytail and sit on my boat. I have a lot of fun on social. So I'm at Leslie M Speaks on Instagram, at Leslie M on LinkedIn. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that other thing.
And I like to act a fool on social. So, come play with me. And otherwise, you'll find me in an airport, traveling the world, doing what I do. And what I love to do is speaking and training.
Well, she does it amazingly. Everybody should go check it out. Everybody, check out Swagger, check out Speak Easy, see where you can connect these two together. And Leslie, absolutely awesome to have you on. I was going to ask one bonus question here because Leslie's done a lot of TV spots. And you could see it on her amazing media site, done by your phenomenal colleague who's helping me do some marketing work as well, by the way. She's awesome. Which was your most fun media spot that you had to do? Because you've done a lot of them.
Oh, my God. That's a really hard question. I mean, I do Good Morning Washington a lot. And the hosts really dig me. We have a lot of fun. It's fun for me when the hosts get really excited to have me back, and it's like, hey girl, hey, we go, hey girl, you know what I mean? And I feel very welcome. So I love being part of those families. You feel like you when you're a recurring guest on a show, it's like, and here's our swagger queen, our swagger advocate, our whatever. And I love when people trust you enough to keep bringing you back. Yep. And you're building an audience with them, and you're helping them to build an audience, and you're very much aligned in your values, which is super awesome. So I love doing that. Leslie
M, everybody go check her out. And hey, thank you so much for coming back on Thrive Loud. This was a lot of fun catching up with you and showing your swagger here today.
You are going to kill this launch in the biggest way possible. Everybody has got to get this book. This is the kind of book that if you're a corporate leader, you buy a copy for every single person in your organization and you gift it to them. You just, send it to them or put it on their desk. They will thank you. They will thank you because it will make every aspect of their lives better, not just their professional lives, but their personal lives and everything in between. So this is a great corporate and business gift. Do it. Give your people the gift.
Love you, Les. This has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lou.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.